Okay, this workshop is for Algebra 1 College Prep. This is mostly for ninth grade students. We do sometimes have 8th grade families, and we also have 10th graders that are assigned to this class. This class meets not only a year of math credit for high school graduation, but it is also a requirement for your diploma that students pass this course, Algebra 1P. So I hope that I can assist your student with not only learning and passing the class, but gaining confidence in their math skills. This is my 17th year at Valley Oaks, and I won't go through all of this next slide because most of you will have me in freshman seminar. But you can pause, read over my little bio here if you need to. I want to go straight into our class agenda. Nope, syllabus. This syllabus was provided in your book packet that you picked up on Monday morning. This syllabus goes for the rest of the year, and it's just going to be a bit of an overview for the class and how we're going to manage it. So you can see in the description, we just cover the state standards for algebra. Our curriculum that we use is all online. We use Houghton Mifflin Harcourt curriculum. It's similar if you were a student at the 8th grade using the grid material. It's similar to that because it's the same publisher. You will have some handouts posted through Google Classroom, but the majority of your work will be done through the online program. As we get going in our work, we will talk through best practices. I do expect students to show work on paper. They will be required, you can see here, to keep a 3-ring binder of their work. And that's so that they learn how to organize their work even when they're working on an online program. So reviewing these materials, the best size of binder will be a 1-inch. They'll be able to take out and house material in an organized location at the home as we go through our units, but definitely at the end of each semester. 3-ring binder and a hole punch would be required. If they had any handouts from me, most things will come to them digitally. So it would just be if they chose to print things out. But I would anticipate them just having mostly lined paper in their binders at this time. This has been our past practice to have 4 dividers labeled with these titles. I would say hold off on getting dividers just until we learn what's needed for your individual student for organization purposes. I have provided with the book a spiral notebook. This is going to be something called their interactive student notebook. With this notebook, I also provided copies of notes for the first unit. I will be honest, it's going to be a bit challenging to provide these. You will have to come in and pick them up once every couple of weeks. I will make them available online, but it is not my desire to have the students print out any materials at home as a have to. So I am still kind of working the kinks out with it. I know with the material that the curriculum that we use, having notes accessible that I've done is very important, and most students won't work well with a digital copy. So I'm anticipating a pickup of a handout packet once every couple of weeks. But again, we'll see how it goes and we'll be flexible and manage it. But I have provided the spiral notebook, and they will be asked to start organizing it in their first week at Tech Bootcamp. They absolutely have to do all of their homework in pencil. If you could help support me in that, I would appreciate it. When they come back to campus with me, if they do work in pen, I will not be happy with that. We will be doing a lot of graphing this year, so besides ruled paper, they'll need graph paper, and we will be using a protractor or straight edge of some kind, so if they could have that ruler. And then being that we're in 2020, they absolutely have to do math with the calculator as well. Not all things, and definitely we work towards mental math capacity, but they will need to know how to use technology, and one of those is a calculator. In saying that, the calculator need is just a basic function key, including a square root key. I have given some options at the end of the syllabus of where you could find those, but or options that you might have. But as we're in distance learning, I will be honest, I would allow my own child to use their calculator on their cell phone in this time. So I think I'm going to have to go ahead and say their cell phone calculator is okay. When we get into graphing and we need to use a graphing calculator, we're actually going to use a program on the web called Desmos. So you do not have to purchase a $100 calculator at all for this class or even their geometry class that they have next year. To help support the materials that they will be using, they do need access to these items at home. The colored pencils, scissors, tape, stapler, glue sticks, possibly the 3-hole punch if they need to organize in that way. So just be considering that as we move forward. I am a big proponent of taking notes, so most of these items have to do with that need. You can see here that the course requirements that we have are the breakdown of their overall grade. We traditionally follow a bell curve of a grade. Most students end up with the C+, B- average, and it's because of how the math department has chosen to break down the grade book. They'll get points for participation in their Zoom classes, for the quizzes that they take. Most of the quizzes are checking for understanding, and so they tend to be credit, no credit. Daily assignments will be their homework that they complete online through our curriculum. They will have some performance tasks, still working out the kinks with the distance learning, so we'll see how that goes. Their unit tests, you can see, are pretty hefty, 40%. Because it's pretty hefty and because a unit test can really show their understanding of the material, we do allow corrections and we can set up retakes that we would average with those grades, and I'll talk about that in a few minutes. And then at the end of each semester, they will have a comprehensive final. As of right now, for testing will be done during a Zoom class. I have tried to set them up for Friday sessions. This class will have Tuesday and Friday Zoom sessions. One of the roadblocks that we experienced fourth quarter was not being able to hold students accountable to not cheating during tests. So we're still working out some options for us. I will ask you as the parent to really monitor the student as they take their tests. And if we can't help that gap to fill in, we'll figure out a different way that we can assess the students and make it authentic. For you, the home educator responsibilities, really your biggest responsibility is going to be to manage that schedule. I'm going to show you a sample of the agenda in a little while. You'll see how I've made it into two different basically platforms. You'll be able to assign your student and manage the class the way that you see fit in this distance learning. I would like you to require and look on periodically that your student show their work on paper. I'd like them to house it in past work. I'll work with them on how I would like to see it organized, but not all people think the way that I do. So if your student needs something different, I just ask that you work with them to figure out the tool that works the best for them. You're going to be able to monitor your students' grades in two different ways. One will be through the curriculum platform, and I'm going to show you a sample student in a minute, and the other will be through your Aries gradebook account. I'm going to do my best to update the Aries gradebook by Thursdays, Thursday afternoon. So Friday would be a really good day for you to look on your students' gradebook and also have them look on their gradebook to see kind of where they're sitting with their overall grade. Grades can somewhat be different for our freshmen, so depending on what class you're in, your student may procrastinate for a week, and depending on what that category of assignment is that they've skipped or postponed, it could drop their grades significantly. It could create some panic, and they could spiral quite quickly downhill, and that's what we'd like to avoid. So if you come up with a plan for your student of monitoring those grades, you'll also see teachers give comments and communicate through the Aries program, the gradebook program. So definitely want you to create a pattern for yourself and your student. Let me go ahead and show you what your curriculum looks like at this time. So in your textbook checkout, you received a copy of your student workbook. So this is volume 1. Technically, we're going to complete it first semester. This is a workbook that's used for simply a resource for instruction and a resource for examples for the student to use and for you to use as that home educator. Your students will not be completing work in this workbook, and they will not be ripping out pages and submitting them in person. This is simply a resource to use for some instructional and learning purposes. As we get going, if the online curriculum poses a barrier for your student, we can talk about an option of just using the workbook. But I have found that it has not been successful because the workbook would require the home educator to grade. And the student's response was that it just wasn't as timely as what the online was. So the online platform is 95% of your student's work. This is a student account here. Your student hopefully will be signing up for their account during their tech boot camp. If they don't, I'll work with them in that next week to get them logged in. I've posted a video on how to maneuver through your student's dashboard, or how your student maneuvers through their dashboard in Google Classroom. It's a video that Mr. Boone set up. He shows you what your resources are here, so extra worksheets if you would like your student to complete them for the learning purpose. It gives answer keys for the odd questions for the workbook that I just reviewed. And then this is the student interactive student workbook. So it's the workbook in an interactive form. And we will probably never access either of these as a whole class. We will only access to support that one-on-one tutoring or troubleshooting if they come upon a barrier. This right here will be the area that your student will manage each week. These titles of the assignments that are posted here will match exactly with the agenda. And the video that I posted on Google Classroom will show them how to manage and maneuver through it. Once they submit an assignment, you will be able to view their score. You will be able to view their score and be done. Hang on, I gotta go back to this thing. It's not gonna let me do it. My bandwidth is dying. Once they have finished an assignment, and I apologize, I don't have a score app, right here under my progress report, this is where you will see their score for that particular assignment. You'll be able to look on, see their answer, see what the correct answer was, review their percentage. You don't have to do anything with that other than bring it to their attention and possibly assign them to go to tutoring with me on Thursday if it hasn't been successful. But again, a video explaining how to maneuver through the student dashboard online is posted in Google Classroom, and hopefully we'll also get some face-to-face time with the students in Zoom over those first few weeks to help them maneuver as well. Your student is the only one with the login. You don't have a login, so you will have to know your student's username and password to access this information. Okay. Nope, not that. Okay. After going through that curriculum, I would like to show you how you're going to get your assignments each week. So they will be posted in Google Classroom for your student. Again, this is something that the student is going to sign up to during their tech boot camp. Again, Google Classroom, it's just a live stream of all of the materials that I've posted. We're going to teach the student that their first step will be to go to classwork right here. Under classwork, how we've managed it is just put things into categories. So we have, this is where I talked about my video that I posted for the My HRW, that online curriculum. So they can view that there. The syllabus and the tech codes that they are going to get at their boot camp is here at orientation materials. And then we've decided as a school to manage the weekly work in our Google Classrooms by week number. So your week number will always house your agenda. And if there is another assignment that I want the student to do, it'll be posted under week 1 as well. Again, all of this week 1 material will be posted by the Monday at 3 o'clock so that you could access it, your student can access it before class that week. Okay, so that's Google Classroom. So some of the last things I kind of want to review with you is what our Zoom attendance is. If you were already viewed Google the freshman seminar class, it's the same. Algebra, though, has 2 separate Zoom sessions each week. We have a, since we're 5th period, we have a Wednesday one, and we also have a Friday session. So your student, since they've chosen it, you are expected to have your student attend. And I would ask that you encourage that and have them be on time as well. If it becomes an issue, or if your student is absent, you need to communicate with me, and your best mode of communication is going to be through Remind. So please make sure that you communicate clearly what the issue is, why they were absent, or why they missed. Maybe they came in late and the class was already closed. But please communicate. I have a really hard time following up with students when I don't hear back from them because I am so deeply consumed by tutoring. So please reach out and engage with me if they're absent. Most likely what will happen if they are absent, I will ask them to check in with me at tutoring so that I can just confirm some checking for understanding. And that tutoring will happen on Thursdays during a Zoom session, and you can see here on the agenda what time. All of these Zoom links will be posted both in Google Classroom and over Remind, so it's very important that your student during their tech boot camp gets signed up for all of those things. Here in the syllabus, I explain a little bit about the testing procedures that we take. As we get closer to our first test, I'll do another video and post it out to you as parents so that you know what you can expect when the student is taking the test, once the student's finished the test, how I provide that information back to you so that you can know how your student did as well. It's been quite a long time since I've had a student earn an F with me in the algebra class, but it has happened. So again, just make a schedule for when you're checking your Aries grade, both you and your students, so that you can stay on top of it. The last thing, kind of to review on that syllabus, we do have quite a few websites that we'll be using during our class time. And again, the tech codes and the information that they need will be given to them this next week during their boot camp. And I've also provided a copy of all of those codes in Google Classroom. And hopefully we'll be able to really manage well between all of our different programs. But again, if this is a barrier for your student, please communicate quickly so that we can see if we can troubleshoot and not affect their grade in some way or cause anxiety for your student. And then here again at the bottom of the syllabus, just some information about calculators if you need it. Just going back to our PowerPoint here. So same thing I explained in freshman seminar. Here's some distance learning tips. I will post material in Google Class by Mondays at 3. Your student will be expected to complete their work for the week by Mondays at 3. And hopefully that could be adhered to. I will tell you, all right, I'll show you my agenda in just a minute. The students who are not able to get their assignments completed by 3 o'clock on Monday are those who skip a day of work. So it's pretty important to follow a daily schedule, and I give you both a checklist and a daily schedule that I would suggest. Make sure that they're showing up to their scheduled Zoom classes again. Ours are Wednesday and Friday for this class, and then check your area's grades weekly. The Zoom expectations that I have, I do expect both you and your student to communicate if you have any problems. Again, the classes will close after 10 minutes. It's very difficult to manage the waiting room and give instruction at the same time. I absolutely request that you help me by requiring your student to show their face if they can. I have a very difficult time teaching to a blank screen, especially when that student stays silent. Have them set up in that quiet area while they're on their Zoom class using headphones, microphones from the school if it's needed. And that also goes for if they need a Chromebook. They're going to have a very difficult time doing their math lessons on a device like a phone. So a Chromebook would be absolutely necessary for our class. And then just make sure they're prepared with their materials. They will have a lot of username and passwords. So again, just make sure, please, that you have a system for them to remember these things. And I can help with that if you reach out to me with it. And let me go ahead and show you the agenda right now. If I can find where I've put it. Apologize. Okay, so each week this agenda will be posted by Monday. You can see here again, the week numbers are posted at the top, and then for your family planning purposes, I will also put the unit's test date here at the top. If you would put that on your family calendar, this is definitely a Zoom class that you do not want them to meet, because for at least the first one, they will be taking their test during Zoom time with me. So I've scheduled out the semester. I've planned all of the unit tests for Fridays. This top part will be just a checklist of items that they will actually receive grades for in Aries. You can see if they choose to skip, half of them, they're going to get half credit basically for the week. So I hope that this is helpful for you. Might have to change back to my old system agenda. We'll see how our distance learning goes. And then to help support you in managing their schedule, I will post here a suggested daily schedule for your student to follow. Knowing that not all students will get this agenda because they won't have boot camp on Monday, this is just as suggested. You're going to have to manage this first week the best that you can. But the way that this is set up is that it really, for this class, should never be more than an hour a day of work, and that would include those days that they have the Zoom session. So they will be working. If we have class Wednesday, they will be completing about an hour's worth of work after the session. I will always do my best to provide time during those Zoom sessions to have them get on and work on their work, but we have a lot of standards to cover, and definitely they're going to be working. So what I always, my method is no more than an hour a day on this homework here. And I do my best on the days where they have Zoom. I do my best to make it a smaller amount of work, possibly like 30 minutes or so. Okay, I believe that is it. By our first class, which is August 18th, 19th, these are the things that I would like for your student to have done. So obviously all of the week one work from their agenda. I'd like them to have all of their materials organized. That includes their interactive student notebook, which is that spiral notebook. Again, or maybe I didn't say this, but I will be providing notes for them for each section. This first unit should have been with your books, and it'll have directions for you. But if you can have that stuff organized, that would be fantastic. They do need some type of calendar. It needs to be a visual of their Zoom classes so that they don't miss one, possibly their testing dates. If you want to take the agenda and map it out for them, they need some type of calendar view to get through it. They need to organize space, and that needs to include their technology. And again, for the algebra class, a phone is not a good device to use for our curriculum. So if you need that Chromebook, headphones, hotspot from the school, please take advantage of what the school's offering as far as that technology, okay? I think that's it. If you have any questions, your student's going to come home from the tech boot camp and they are going to give you the remind code. Please sign up, follow those directions to link yourself to your child, and start sending me text messages, and I will do my best to respond. Definitely looking forward to working with all of you. Definitely looking forward to teaching your children. I will see you all soon.